Chair. Your glasses are there, I can read stuff. Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for Thursday, February 6th. The board will be going back to the normal schedule of first and third Thursday nights. And this will be, we had a meeting last week and we'll meet again this week. But we've got some good things. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All together, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Opening comments, Vice Chair, Mark?
I have no comments.
Josh? Okay, we'll get right into it. You don't talk, you got, yeah. The Charles Kelly Scholarship is accepting essays now through April 1st. The scholarship is for $1,000. Please type a short essay on what community service means to you. Please do not put your name on the essay. Please submit the application to the Selectmen's office at Nahant Town Hall by April 1st. For more information on how to apply, please visit nahant.org. The Town Hall will be closed Monday, February 17th, observance of the President's Day. New business?
I have a motion. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the executive session meeting minutes from December 5th, 2019.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Should I second
You should abstain since you weren't part of the...
I will second that motion.
I don't have any discussion.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve November 7th, 2019 meeting minutes and enter the attachment Exhibit E onto the record.
I will second that motion. Discussion?
No.
All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
You're up, Mark. Stand up, or how you want to do it?
Yeah, I'd like to invite Chief Dwyer up to maybe say a couple words, and the next two parts of the new business are for the Board of Selectmen to approve the appointment of 2 new police officers to the Nahant Police Department. Would you like to say a couple words before them? Yeah. Well, why don't you say a few words? I think I have it here.
Well, you don't have to go.
Yeah, Chief.
I'd like to take this opportunity.
Hold on, Chief.
I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce 2 new police officers, Amanda Morash Amanda came, she's going to come to us as a reserve police officer. She works full-time at Wentworth University. She's got a bachelor's degree from Norwich, correct? She's got an extensive training background as well, and we're excited to have her on board, so welcome. This kid here, Mark Mateos Nevis, I'm working on it. Very tired. He's in the military. He was self-sponsored through the Worcester Police Academy, so that means he went on his own sponsored by the military out in Worcester. He went for 16 weeks through the MPTC Academy, and along with his academy, he supplemented with his military background. So he comes to us trained. I don't have to train him. Put him right out in the street, just in-service training, FTO training, and he's just got to learn the ins and outs of the town of Nahant. So welcome. We're looking forward to both of them coming on board. We're fortunate enough to get both of them trained. He has the full-time academy, which is huge for us. So I welcome them both, and I thank the board and Tony for the support. Thank you.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the appointment of Matthias Nieves as a full-time Nahant police officer.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion?
Welcome.
Congratulations. I know that Chief, welcome to Nahant. All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Then, do you want to swear them in together at the same time?
Maybe we get,
Individually.
what do we got?
Okay, so
No,
why don't you do
we only got one there.
So
Wait a minute, we gotta make the second motion for Amanda. You just made it for Matthias, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the appointment of Amanda Morash as Reserve Nahant Police Officer.
Second. Second. Further discussion?
Welcome.
Congratulations, both of you. I would, we're gonna appoint the regular one and not you, and he'll be firing me in the morning. All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Congratulations and welcome. Again, both of you.
So if you don't mind, a quick moment to have the town clerk swear them in?
Yep.
And for pictures?
Thank you.
It's red.
We usually have.
I don't know.
Give it to him.
Richard, can we get the clerk a moment to speak? Yeah, the clerk.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me? All right, I have an announcement, and I'd like to read a letter to the board and the people, the residents of Nahant. To the Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, and the residents of the town of Nahant. Please accept this letter as my formal resignation from the office of the town clerk. My last day will be Friday, February 28th, 2020. This decision comes after much thought and careful consideration. I want to express my sincerest honor and privilege in having served the town for a tenure of 14 years, 11 of which as town clerk. A position I dearly loved and was so proud to hold and serve the people of our town. However, I realize now time has come for me to move on, and I am very comfortable with that. I would like to help with the transition of this position so that the department will continue to function smoothly after my departure. I am available to train my replacement. I will make certain that all reporting and records are updated before my last day of work. Before I close again, I would like to express just how much I loved this job and the pinnacle of the position. And the pinnacle of this position was to help meet and speak daily with the residents of this town. Sincerely, Margaret Arbor.
Peggy,
Hold on.
oh, she's not there?
No, go ahead.
Peggy,
I'm
oh, okay.
His record.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Wait a minute, Peggy, on behalf of the board and the citizens of the town, I want to thank you for your service. You did an excellent job as town clerk. And believe me, it's a difficult job, and you kept all the elections, the people that you work with and everything. It was just, we didn't miss a hitch with you. I want to congratulate you for your time, and thank you very much for serving.
It was my pleasure.
So, Peggy, I'd like to say a few words because I think that you started when I was town administrator. For you. No, and I do appreciate all of the work that you've done over the years. You've brought the town clerk's office to another level in many ways, whether it was automating the records and digitizing them all, and last year bringing electronic voting to the town, which everyone thought was a wonderful idea. So we'll miss you, and thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you very much, Peggy, and if retirement is what's next on your agenda, I hope you have an enjoyable and peaceful time. Yeah, thank you very much.
And I too want to thank Peggy. You know, since day one of entering the job, you've been nothing but help to me, and you've always been helpful to everyone else that comes into this building. And you know, your love for the town is it's obvious, and it's big shoes to fill. And I just want to say thank you and appreciate everything you've done for me as a friend, as a colleague, and what you've done for the community. So, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, town clerk and I have had a few discussions leading up to tonight, and I know that it was a difficult decision for her, but we did take a look at what the next step is for the town, and she herself made a point that it's important that the town, especially going into the next few months with presidential primaries, our own town meeting and town elections, that the office, continue to operate. Similar to when we had vacancies on the planning board a few months back, our charter in section 313, it dictates that a resigned elected position has to be an interim would be appointed by a majority vote of the Board of Selectmen and the remaining members of that board. given that there is no other remaining members of the board, it would be a majority vote of the Board of Selectmen, should you wish to fill the seat in an interim role up until Election Day, where it'll be an open seat for the one-year term. So our next meeting is February 20th. So we could post, similar like we did the last time with the planning board, we could post something on our website, on our Facebook, let folks know that if they are interested in being considered for the interim appointment, to submit their interests with a resume and a cover letter to us by a week from tonight, the 13th, and we could have this added to the agenda for the 20th to have a majority vote. If you agree with that timeline, or we can get going on that.
That makes sense. The interim would really be only in effect for about 2 months, right, until the April election.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I think, yeah, give you a chance to get, and give the board a chance to look at, appoint someone to that position for the,
Certainly the office, we can't leave the office vacant.
No.
It's not like a single board member on a, and especially given the elections happening, we need to have some, we need a clerk, the clerk's office to be in operation. So that would be the next step per our charter.
that's fine.
In the event that we don't get any responses from the community, another option may be to hire an outside consultant for the time being. So we could take a look at maybe both of those.
Absolutely,
It's a backup plan.
absolutely.
Great idea. Yeah, we just.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's reasonable, not just if we don't get letters, but something we should consider, because if it does wind up being a 2-month term, if it's someone who doesn't have that background, it's gonna probably take 2 months to learn how to do it. So, some experience in that area would be helpful.
It might be a suggestion to you, Tony, to talk to the chairman of the Board of Selectmen in Swampscott and see if we can talk to the town clerk of Swampscott, just to come over and part-time, and we can pay her, whatever that stipend is, for, as a part-time position. Just an idea, just in case we don't.
But I do think it's a good idea to get the word out in the community that there is an opening, and see what the interest is out there.
Okay. So I'll reach out to neighboring community, and we'll put something on our website, and I'll post something on Facebook letting people know if they're interested to submit a cover letter and resume to the Board of Selectmen, myself. It's always helpful to add Bobby Joe Blair, the administrative assistant to UNI, and that's bBlair@nahant.org. And
When's your last day?
February
February
28th.
28th,
So we have,
29th.
we'll have coverage, yeah. Hopefully you get someone so she can give them a couple weeks training.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Very good.
Okay.
Mark?
Okay. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve tobacco license renewal applications with the expiration date of January 31st, 2021 for the Nahant Market, Richland, and Seaside Variety.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Motion's been seconded. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the event request for the Nahant Cultural Council to host a 40 Steps dance on March 27th and March 28th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Town Hall.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion's been seconded. You forgot to read in there that the Board of Selectmen have to perform that night.
Yeah. We'll take your lead, Rich.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello. No further discussion. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Is there anything
We
in
have
your?
a presidential warrant to sign?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I apologize. There isn't a motion. So, just like any election, we have to post a warrant 14 days in advance and of the election in 5 locations around the town. So, I guess a simple motion to sign
Yes, we
sign the warrant and have it posted.
All right, I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen sign the presidential primary warrant.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been second. Discussion. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We can do it at the end. Have you guys sign them at the end.
Town administrator's report.
Okay, I'd like to start by inviting Chief Dwyer back up to the table to give a briefing on the new hands-free law that's going to be going into place shortly. Chief Dwyer?
Thank you. This thing over here. Well, it's pretty simple and straightforward. There's been a lot of literature on it. We put it out on Facebook. The new law is simple, hands-free law, Chapter 90, Section 13B. It's simple. You can't hold a cell phone any longer, no electronic device. It has to be in some type of cradle or through Bluetooth. You can't have it in your hand to talk on the phone. Definitely texting is out. It's always has been out. You can't do that. So holding the mobile electronic device is a no. Looking at the mobile electronic device unless viewing for navigation, device affixed to the vehicle. Using a mobile electronic device unless in hand-free mode, the Bluetooth. So it's simple. It starts, there are some exemptions, however, for emergency, medicals, accident on a roadway, need assistance for other reason, police, fire, or emergency, and disabled vehicles. From February 23rd, 2020, the law becomes effective. Warnings will be given through March 31st, 2020. First offense is a $100 fine, no surcharge. Second offense is $250 fine, plus a program completion, probably a safe driver program. And the third offense is $500, and plus a program completion and a surcharge to your accident. To your insurance. So it's pretty clear. There's a reason for this. Texting and driving and operating with a phone obviously is a distraction, and it's causing a lot of accidents. And the Mass chiefs and international chiefs and the Essex County chiefs think it's time that this goes into law and to it's got to end because it's killing people. It's as bad as driving under the influence of alcohol. I walk every morning 2.5 miles every morning through Wyoming Square, and you wouldn't believe the amount of people that are on their cell phones, texting up a storm, and in trucks, obviously vehicles. It's got to stop before. It's going to take some time for people to get used to it, and that's why they give them the 30-day grace period. You can get stopped, but you'll get a written warning or a verbal warning. And then after the 31st of March, they'll start issuing citations for it. So hopefully everybody gets the message. I think it's going to be advertised well. We'll put it on our Facebook, the town Facebook. I'll try to get it up on the electronic sign. And hopefully everybody will adhere to the new law. It's that simple.
What's the effective date?
The effective date is February 23rd. However, that's just for warnings. They're going to give a 30-day grace period because it's going to take, people some time to get used to it. And it actually goes into effect with citations can be issued. Will be March 31st, 2020. So,
What about speakerphone mode?
sure, as long as it isn't in your hand. Bluetooth, speakerphone, as long as that phone is not in your hand while you're operating, a motor vehicle. If it's for an emergency, the emergency has to be justified. You have to, if you get stopped, we stop you and you know, you say to the officer, oh, I was just calling the police for some reason, you're gonna have to come up with why you're calling the police, you know, so it has to be a justifiable, reason why it's in your hands, so. And I think 30 days is more than enough time between, you know, media, like I said, Facebook. We'll put it up on our sign. It's effective, you know, on the date, February 23rd. And I think for the town anyways, it should get out relatively quickly, the message. So we're going to work with the residents, obviously, and the public in general, and hopefully we can get it out and, you know, make sure our roads are safe.
I appreciate you speaking to it, Chief. I think we all are going to have to adjust to it. I think we're all guilty of it at some point or the other. You know, we actually had an incident earlier this year that with a dog on our road that may have been the result of.
Could have been attributed to that, correct.
So, you know, it's an important thing. If, like you said, if it's an emergency, find the proper place to pull off the road and do what you have to do. But
there is one other exemption, so if you see us, we're operating our computer in the vehicle, or maybe on the phone in the vehicle, that's an exemption according to the law as well. We're allowed to do that, so. We won't abuse it as well, but, you know, they did give us that exemption. Because those computers, we were on them all the time. So they did give us that exemption, so. Any questions?
Well, I'd like to make sure, Chief, you put it on the sign.
Yeah, I'll get it on the sign,
And
sure.
also on
Yeah.
our town website. So the people, you know, we could find, you know, because a lot of people.
I gave everybody a copy of
Yes,
the law.
yes, very, yeah.
You know, it's just like anything else, it's gonna be a learning
Yeah.
curve, and we'll get the message out, and we'll handle it. So, thank you.
thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
I have a couple other things not listed here that I'd like to go through, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman. One is, you know, as we're going through the budget, we're putting in our, you know, estimated costs for water from MWRA, sewer with Lynn Water and Sewer, and trash through Waste Management. We've had a couple conversations here at the town hall in the past. We had Waste Management come up and talk to us about the rising costs of treating, of disposing of waste and recycling, and we're looking at it very closely, and we're working with Waste Management to negotiate a good deal for a new contract. Our current contract is up at the end of this fiscal year, June 30th. So, you know, given the time frame, maybe putting a number in, you know, our highest estimated number into the budget to start, and then between now and before we get to town meeting, try to negotiate that number down and adjust it on the enterprise side. But I do want to highlight that, you know, we are facing some significant cost increases with the cost of recycling. You know, before it used to be free, get paid for it. Now it's costing money, and the cost of waste is also going up. So right now, for example, our current contract, our disposal rate is at $76.54 a ton, and that's anywhere. Numbers right now are going anywhere from $80 to $95 a ton, and our current rate for recycling is $62.85, and that's going anywhere from $70 to $120 a ton. So quite the increase. Obviously, we're working with DEP and our neighboring communities and other vendors to see what prices are out there. I think we're pleased with the job that Waste Management does, but if we were to continue with Waste Management, one way for us to cut some of those increased costs is how we handle our trash. So, you know, switching to front-end load dumpsters, which we've already begun that transition, is going to save the town a decent amount of money. But also with our curbside pickup, going to automated barrels, going to we have a couple bins in the back of the town hall here there are smaller options as well, but things that we need to consider going forward if we want to try to suppress the increase in the cost of our trash. So I'd like to get that on the agenda, maybe for the next Board of Selectmen meeting, and really get into, talking about what our options are next.
I'd just like to add something to that, Tony. So just to be clear, that the rate that the resident is charged for recycling and curbside collection, it's not just curbside collection. It's the cleaning of our beaches, emptying the barrels at
Yes.
our beaches, the dumpsters at the police station, the fire station, town hall, library. So it includes other pickups. other than
Absolutely.
Curbside, so.
Absolutely, the rate that people pay, yes, it goes into more than just our payment to Waste Management or whatever, carting company that we hauler company that we sign on to, but the biggest chunk of it is that. I know the barrels, the green barrels, they're bigger and a change to the community, and we're still exploring if that's definitely which way we go, but they do present some benefits. We do have rodent issues in the community, and that's one thing that would help, and I think everybody sees how much, on trash day, and it's a little bit windy, we have a lot of trash kind of flying around, and given we're an island community and, we're concerned about our environment, we want to be taking steps to try and help in that way as well. So it's certainly an option to consider. We could purchase them ourselves, we could lease them from the company. There are different ways to go. So but it's pressing. We have to really take a closer look at it and decide which way we want to go next.
And the current contract expires
June 30th. June 30th.
So we're going to put that on the agenda for next.
Yeah.
Have we given everyone a chance, they need a barrel or pick up the small one? A lot of people just have one bag, things like that. So they'll continue to pick up their one bag out front there,
It depends on,
They pick it up on Friday morning, leave it out Friday morning. They don't stick it out Thursday night,
it depends which way we want to go. If we want to go to automated collection, what you see in the back there is a 94-gallon recycling bin and a 64-gallon trash. Your typical trash container is like 34 gallons. So the trash would be the size, it's almost like a double barrel. However, we can also offer to residents the smaller 34-gallon if they don't use as much trash and don't have space for
Do we have one of those up here?
the smaller ones. I don't have one here, but I can get one up here for people to see or test.
I'd look at that because, especially the elderly, they're living by themselves and they put out, one bag a week and, I still think we should pick that up for them, okay? Sometimes, there's places where these people have, they don't, I know like Bass Point and Golden Knot, they don't have places to store these big giant barrels. It's very difficult for them, so.
That's definitely something we need to consider.
Yep.
And I can understand that argument, and I can understand that concern. If we were to stick with waste management and not change how we collect our curbside, we could be looking at a 22.5% increase. We reduced that a little bit by going to front-end load dumpsters. Now we're looking at a 19.5% increase. If we switch to automated collection and we lease them from Waste Management, we're looking at a 10.3% increase. So you see, as we start to make some changes, that increase starts to come down a little bit. But I do understand there needs to be some flexibility in whatever we do so that we can accommodate folks who don't have space or can't handle the larger barrels. So we're looking into it. I'll have more information, hopefully, to present at the next meeting.
It's just the seniors, you know, they put out one bag per week, you know, and it's like, for them to get a barrel like that and then push it, and they really, and it's, you know, you look at Bass Point and the Little Nahant, there's really no storage, for, you know, for those barrels, and they just, you know, and they look ugly in the street, so I just, you know. Okay, we get time to look at it.
Okay, couple other quick announcements I have here. This week, the town received two 4,500 gallon per minute portable pumps. This was an effort that we took on with the funds that we received that were appropriated a couple budgets ago. These two pumps trailer pumps are gonna allow us to have equipment on site in the case of a flood-like emergency, that we can deploy these, and 8-inch pumps that the town hasn't had in the past. So these are gonna be extremely valuable to us in a storm-like event that causes flooding in the recovery effort. And we were able to maximize our dollars by using some FEMA funds to pay for a portion of the cost on those.
Are those gas or diesel? Tom?
Diesel.
Diesel. And do they come with a discharge hose and?
Yes, that
What's the length?
I can get you the details on the length of the hose and the full cost of everything. But yeah, it came with discharge, and then the intake hose is a little bit more rubber material, it's a little bit stiff, but yeah. Along those efforts, we've also had a contractor in the DPW hard at work down at Bear Pond, clearing the gravity pipe from Bear Pond out to the beach under the revetment, and we're probably 3 days in on that project, but that's again FEMA funded, and that pipe has been clogged for quite some time now, and is, you know, a valuable asset to the town. And so by clearing that up and having the 2 extra pumps, we will be in a pretty good shape for recovery if we have any type of storm flood event, along with other things that we're doing, like the mosquito control dredging that we talked about at the last meeting. So we're moving in the right direction as far as that goes. We also just received our earmarks from the state budget that I spoke about a few times over the past year. State, you know, has waited until after January for potential 9C cuts. Obviously, the economy is doing very well, so we just received the first half of each of those earmarks. The first one was $15,000 for the Nahant Police Department to replace their off-road ATV to help with beach-type emergencies. And the other one is for the public access equipment here in the town hall for $35,000. So the way that those work is the state provides 50% of the earmark up front, the town pays the second half, and then they reimburse you that second half. So both end up being no cost to the town. So we are moving forward in that. And then lastly, on streetlights, we are very close to the executing our purchase from National Grid on the streetlights, and working right now. We're actually soliciting an O&M contract. That's part of the process of purchasing the lights. You have to have a company on board that's going to be ready to maintain the lights if there's ever a light out or anything like that. National Grid requires that you have that type of contract on board. So that's where we are right now in the process. Next step will be to purchase the streetlights and get the conversion on.
Is there any word on the reimbursement for community preservation? I heard that may be increasing.
It was, yes. The state passed legislation either as part of their budget or separately that increased the amount statewide, and I believe our match went up to 59%.
That's great.
We are working, you know, our town accountant's working with the chairwoman of the CPC to find out what that number equals, and one will have access to it. And I'll put a plug in for the CPC, if I can pull it up on my phone real quick, their next meeting. Their next meeting is actually going to be here, downstairs at 7 o'clock on Monday, the 10th. If anybody's interested in, and I think they'll be beginning the process of reviewing applications. They received about 10 or so or more.
That means for every dollar that the town raises, the state gives us 60 cents on the dollar. Not bad.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, I don't recall what our match was last year, but I remember our dollar amount was in the 200,000s, low 200,000s, so it's certainly a big impact. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I want to commend the Public Works. They did a great job down at Kelly Grange clearing out the, to the right of the club. You know, they put the rocks and they cleaned that whole area and put the parking grid up, and it looks 100% better, you know, that. And I know you're waiting to the hot top plants open for the back there. I think you've got money left over maybe for that's all cracked and I'll lift it.
Potentially, I was waiting to hear from the committee as to what their capital improvement, the golf committee.
Okay.
But that's, I remember, they've mentioned that to me, that it's a need down there behind the clubhouse.
Anything else?
That's it.
Well, yeah, we've gotten quite a few letters over the last few days about the clearing happening at Northeastern, so maybe Tony, can you give maybe a brief summary of the letter that went up from Planning Board today?
Yes. So at the last Board of Selectmen meeting, so I sent two letters out. At the last Board of Selectmen meeting, the board voted unanimously to send a letter to Northeastern regarding 5-day notice on any significant work, and that was sent out. Do you want me to read the letter?
Sure, go ahead. It's short, right?
Yeah, this one's short. Please be advised that on Thursday, January 30th, 2020, the Board of Selectmen voted unanimously to request that you provide the Board of Selectmen and the Town Administrator advance notice of any significant work, including but not limited to clearing, testing, and other preparatory work that may not require a permit at the Marine Science Center related to Northeastern University's proposed campus expansion. Notification by email at least 5 business days in advance of such work to Board of Selectmen and the Town Administrator at the email addresses below is required, and then I list your email and mine. And then, secondly, the Planning Board sent a letter over to Northeastern regarding they met on Tuesday night, February 4th, and voted unanimously to investigate the recent clearing on Northeastern's property to determine if the requirement of a permit under Section 4 of the Stormwater Bylaw is required. That paragraph 3 of Section 4 states, "No person may undertake a construction activity, including clearing, grading, and excavation that results in a land disturbance that will disturb equal to or greater than 1 acre of land, or will disturb less than 1 acre of land, but part of a larger common plan of development or sale that will ultimately disturb equal to or greater than 1 acre of land draining into the town of Nahant municipal storm sewer system without a permit of the planning board." So this letter then goes on to request supplemental information from Northeastern about the clearing that they've performed and how that relates to the plan the exploratory plan that they had previously submitted, and also to schedule a visit with the chairman of the planning board to investigate on his own, measuring the clearing that's occurred. So and also to have them attend the next planning board meeting. So there's 3 elements of that section of the stormwater bylaw. One is, if you clear more than an acre, you're required to get a permit. 2 is, if you're clearing less than an acre, but it's ultimately part of a development plan that is more than an acre, and drains into the town of Nahant municipal storm sewer system, you're required to get a permit. So the next step really for the planning board, and that's where the jurisdiction lies, is to understand if either of those thresholds are triggered, and if a permit is required.
And we haven't heard back in terms of when the site visit can occur?
That's right. I spoke over the phone with Northeastern, and they told me they'd be able to schedule something soon. I would imagine early next week.
And what is the enforcement mechanism behind all of this?
Is the enforcement mechanism as far as,
Well, if it is determined they have exceeded that threshold, what happens?
well, there'd be either the planning board could issue a cease and desist until they come in and submit an application for a permit. I'd have to look a little bit further into the stormwater bylaw to see what the elements of that application are, and it lies within the planning board, so I didn't do a deep dive on that, but
And does this 1 acre threshold apply to any other permitting, either state, federal, or local?
it does. So the state NIPD's permit, which is a stormwater permit, would be triggered if they cleared over an acre. State MEPA talks about segmentation of projects. Our local zoning does not speak to segmentation. However, the way that this section reads is that it talks about, one less than an acre, but as part of a larger project. So it does speak a little bit to segmentation. Town council has been informed, and they're in the loop on it. I think next step is to get some additional information from Northeastern, do some measuring the town do some measuring of their own, and then review that with council and find out what the proper, authority of the planning board would be.
The segmentation issue is important, I think, because they've cleared a certain amount of land in the last week or so, but additionally, there was land cleared on the top of the bunker, where they were testing the soil depths. It seems to me that should be considered part of the same clearing and not, be able to be segmented. So I guess we need to look at some more definition of that, maybe with council's advice.
And I certainly want to thank you, Tony, for coordinating an effort, particularly with the planning board. It's been a while since I've seen that coordination working hand in hand, and I hope that can continue with other committees in the town as we work against this problem. So I'm really encouraged that you reached out quickly to the planning board. The planning board acted quickly, and you seem to be in concert together in how to approach this. So I appreciate that.
I do want to apologize to the number of residents that have reached out. I know that you received a lot of emails as well from residents concerned about, what the town is doing regarding the issue down the street there, and I haven't been able to get back to all of them. There's quite a few emails, but hopefully they're tuning in right now and getting the update through this briefing.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I figured there's probably a lot of people listening
Yes,
that
thank you for
sent
bringing
letters.
it up. Thank you.
I've tried to I think I've answered most people with something, anyway.
Okay.
Tony, is there any update on the B&B situation? Are you working on that?
Dan Scripp and I are still, looking through it, and we intend to have something on the warrant. it may make sense for us to put an article on the warrant that would create a committee of some sort to take a look at what options the town would want to consider for implementing regulations regarding Airbnbs going forward. Meanwhile, also introducing the local short-term rental tax that would bring additional revenue into the town. There's quite a few elements of the law and many different ways we can approach it. So we're still looking at it, and can understand. We're hearing from. I'm hearing. I know you're hearing as well from residents concerns about different parts of different things that come with the short-term rentals, whether it's parking or trash or number of people, that sort of thing, and all of that is within the law that we can consider as far as regulations locally. So it's, I think probably the best way to go about it would be to have some sort of public process where folks can get involved and we can really filter through our options rather than quickly put together a proposal to have on the warrant to be voted for. But that's where I'm at. I'm not confirmed on that. But that's that's the approach I was thinking might be the right way to go, is to create almost an ad hoc committee with the acceptance of the local hotels short-term rental tax that would take a closer look at those regulations and make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen and or town meeting to adopt into our bylaws.
That and also the residents moving out for the summer or a certain time of the year, they go to Florida, they rent out their homes, okay, and that whole, it's two separate situations. And some of the family moves in, they've got, they used to have 1 or 2 cars, now they got 8 cars. Things like that. That's the complaints I received, Good. All right.
One more quick thing. I just wanted to let people know that we have this wetlands bylaw study committee, and our next meeting is March 2nd. I think it is, first Monday of the month. We're hoping to be close to finishing our recommendations shortly thereafter. So any community input would be welcome at that next meeting, March 2nd, here in the town hall, 6:30.
Okay, anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
We're going to be going in an executive session for some legal matters, but before I go into into the executive session, what I'm going to do is I'll open up for the citizens forum. If anyone would like to speak, give your name and address and so for the record.
Christian Bauda, 3 Swallow Cave Road. Just on the northeastern issue, it seems to me that one of the most crucial aspects of this is going to be getting an accurate measurement of the work they've done. You've already touched on it, Josh, but several of us witnessed in the valley, the sort of clear field area, even though they may say, well, that soil is not disturbed. Well, we saw them cutting down brush there. They were cutting down saplings and shrubs. They've altered that landscape as far as I'm concerned. A tremendous amount of soil was moved around, as you saw, and it's really disturbing to me that they were doing it right up against the boundary line with Lodge Park. It's almost like a thumb right in our eye, saying, look at us, we're going to do whatever we want right up to the limits. As we've seen in the past with Northeastern, they do seem to push the boundaries on what's allowed. They cleared in a wetland area and then pretended they didn't know that it was a wetland. It's obvious to anybody with eyes that it was a wetland, but setting that aside, it seems to me we're being very reactive, and I appreciate the efforts you guys have all made in the last few days to try to get a handle on what's going on up there, but we are being very reactive. And unfortunately, a lot of the damage is already done. Even if we realize now they did clear more than an acre, guess what? There's not much we can do. It's cleared now. So thinking ahead to the next play that they're going to pull on us, how can we be proactive on the next level? If they do file a building permit at some point, presumably it will come to the Concom. So it seems to me that's the next level of defense that we have as a town. Not necessarily to stand in their way in any legal way, but just to make sure they're doing things by the books. So I would just encourage you and anybody else who's on a committee in town who has some ability to anticipate what the next aspect of this plan is going to be, the next thing that will be rolled out. Let's try to get those ducks in a line now, so before they're even up here with the next set of trucks or whatever it's going to be, we already have the exact rules in place. We know who's responsible for them, and they come to us first before they stick one more shovel in the ground or cut down one more tree. That would just be my suggestion. I think that's it. Thank you.
We've already sent them a letter detailing Tony, the town administrator, along with town council. Before they do anything, they've got to get permission. And as you know, I was up there just this past week to see exactly the clearing. I know exactly what you're looking at. They asked for A and they did B and C. And so I was just there just this past week. I wanted to make sure, and they were way up top. It was like, but we wrote them a letter and told them exactly what, they need to come to the various committees and boards, request before they do anything. Tony wrote that letter already.
Yeah, and I also, in my communications with Northeastern, I also expressed, our concern about not just the amount of clearing that they did, but to Christian's point, how close they are to the property line and, the slope that supports the town's property above their property, the roadway there. And I asked them to be mindful of that, include that in the information, and that's something that we'd be looking at as well. I understand that the geotechnical exploration that they're doing there is actually to have an understanding of if a retaining wall would be required should they have an access road in that area. That's what they're doing there. But I think they're it's unfortunately, they have the right to do what they're doing on their property, and they're trying to get as close to the property line to see where, if they are in fact need to add a retaining wall there, and as part of the process. But, I've certainly expressed our concern about staying a healthy distance from the property line and making sure that they don't destabilize that slope.
When I was up there, I noticed the Public Works did a lot of work on the roadway, clearing that fence line up. And Northeastern didn't do that. It was our Public Works cleaned it up, and it looks much better on that whole going up the entrance. And they cut it all back, so that was a good choice. But the wall is a different story. I'm not too sure on their plans for a wall. We got to look at that.
As far as the maintenance of the town-owned property, there is a maintenance plan that was put out by Open Space, Nahant Open Space Committee, DPW, and maybe a few others.
Swim.
They developed a management plan for maintaining the Lodge Park area. So every once in a while, you'll see every other year cutting its one section, not the other section, but that's being managed on a by a plan. But it does look good.
Yeah. Okay, nothing else? That's it?
Bill.
Okay, Billy, hold on, you up first, Billy?
Bill Mahoney, 179 Willow Road. Just to follow up on the earth moving that's taking place up there, and as you were saying, Tony, right along that head wall, if you will. Today, with all the rain, et cetera, there's there's an outfall right below that wall if you inspect it, and that ends up in Bathing Beach, you know, in that 15-inch pipe. And within a week, I believe it's time of the year for flounder, winter flounder, and I know the Department of Marine Fisheries did not want anything happening during that time of year. So I would like people to look into that, because again today all sorts of mud was coming out of that pipe that ends up in Bathing Beach. So that's an important issue for us, and it's you know, this is the time that the winter flounder time of year is from February 15th to I believe June 15th, and they shouldn't be dealing with anything in the ocean during that period. I understand it. Thank you.
There's a law about that, right, Billy, about?
Marine fisheries people, the original meeting.
Hi, Alice Court, 7 Valley Road. I have to confess I'm a bit confused about what Mr. Barletta has said regarding the need for, a possible need for planning board permitting if they are working on a project where the design is over 1 acre, and we know they are because that's what they've put into all their MIPA filings. And we know that they're going to be hooked up, at least in part, to the town sewer system. I would think that all of this time they should have had a planning board permit in order to do anything. We know from MIPA that they're not being allowed to segment the project. So they've tried to segment various parts of the project, and Secretary Theoharidis has said they cannot do so. So the question that I have is, where do things stand right now? They've received a 5-day letter, don't do anything until you give us 5 days' notice. And have they also received it looks like you're in violation of not having a planning board permit when you should, so cease and desist all your drilling, all your further clearing, all your digging, all your other soil testing until we determine that that's actually the case, because it appears that that is the case. Is that where things stand? Or are they allowed to keep on doing what they've been doing, like setting up to do the drilling, and, you know, they've been doing... Well, yesterday they were doing even more clearing when we were already concerned that they'd done too much. So from what your comments were earlier in summary, it sounded like they need a planning board permit that they have not received. Is that correct?
Well, first of all, I defer to the planning board and town council on how to apply that permit. They're the elected officials in charge of that bylaw. In the past couple of days, researching that bylaw and researching the DEIR filed by Northeastern, you're right, their ultimate development would impact more than 1 acre. That could trigger a permit, may not, it may. The second element of that sentence of that bylaw is that it would enter the town's stormwater system. The other part of their DEIR talks about how they're going to be handling all their stormwater discharge on site. They will not be connecting into the town's stormwater system. So that's still up for... There's still some investigative work to understand if all of their stormwater will be captured with their proposed plans on site or not, or if it would impact the town system. So it's it may trigger a permit by the planning board. until you have more information, it's hard to say yes or no.
So, as a follow-up, are they currently on the town's stormwater system? As Billy was saying, you know, where's the dirt coming from that's going into the bay and coming out of pipes? Is that part of,
The closest town stormwater system is on Nahant Road. So some of the stormwater from their property may hit the town stormwater system. The question is the clearing that they're doing and the ultimate project that they plan to do going to impact the town's stormwater system? So I can't answer that question because we don't know without further information right now, but it's
So-
possible.
is it appropriate and possible to do a cease and desist while you're doing that investigation? Because it appears that soil is going places that it's not supposed to be, if that's where they are right now. I mean, obviously, it's very disturbing that they keep on doing what they're doing. They, you know, they plowed through the wetlands and then said, oh, we didn't know. And now from reports, from what I've heard, is that they had permission to do a 12-foot road, but they've cleared way more than 12 feet along this connection. So it appears that they're doing far more than they've been given permission for. In addition, they were supposed to minimize it. It's not like, go ahead, clear 1 acre, have fun. It was like, you're not supposed to do anything more than you absolutely needed to do the drilling and the soil testing. But is there anybody who's been looking at, you know, well, you cleared that whole area and that isn't even, you know, what you needed to do? I'm still confused about why they cut trees up and cleared ground up our hillside, or the hillside abutting the Nahant property, where that doesn't seem to be drilling or soil sample areas. So I'm just wondering, obviously, I'm hoping that there can be a cease and desist until it all gets figured out, because they continue to do a lot of damage. Thanks.
Okay. Gentlemen, we're going to be going from open session into an executive session it's necessary to protect the Board of Selectmen litigation position. This motion, Josh will make the motion in a minute. We will not be coming back into a regular session. Once we go in executive session, we will, again, not come back to an open session. Josh, you want to make that motion?
Yes, I move to go into executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation.
Second?
Motion's been seconded.
Yeah.
Further discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good night, thank you.
Thanks.